Alright, so today I'm going to be doing some cardio. I'm going to be jogging and talking at the same time, so hopefully it doesn't get too noisy. Too noisy with the treadmill and everything. But I'm just going to talk about what's been going on lately with life and whatnot. I haven't been too active on social media and stuff, giving out tips like I usually have been. So me and my wife are having another baby on the way. Pretty exciting. And so along with that takes some other preparation. So for like the military, I need to make up some days where I'm going to be gone over when my baby's being born. So there's just a lot of preparation with that. So for the military, I've been gone for a couple weeks and just making up those days. Now that I'm back, and get back on social media and start giving out tips again. So there will be more tips, more recipes, stuff like that. So, and then also we're doing some stuff with our website where I'm wanting to put some clothing on there, sell a couple fitness products on there, like things that I use. So for example, like knee sleeves, some wrist wraps, like bench pressing and stuff. So there's different things that I use that I might sell on there. So then when I, for example, say, hey, this is what I use for my knees when they hurt, for squats or whatever, right where to get them. So that's another thing that's going down. So there's a few things that just really need to get caught up with before I dedicated time to this. Priorities. If you want to stay fit, you gotta have those priorities. So anyway, just trying to catch up. And then another thing is, I'm gonna be on top of these tips quite a bit. I've made a couple clips here and there throughout these this last month that I've been away. So I'm gonna kind of just make a big video with those in there. And then I'm still leaning out. You might be able to tell in my face. Probably not, because I hold these beautiful, luscious, chubby cheeks all the time. But anyway, I'm going to talk about cardio today. So cardio is something that you will need when you're leaning out. A lot of people say they don't need cardio when they're leaning out, but it gives you a better look. So if you're going for just a lean look, you can, yes, lose body fat without cardio. But if you want to be conditioned, then cardio is something that you should probably have in your workout split. And I just do weekly minutes. So for instance, start off with 60 minutes a week, and then maybe add 90 minutes a week. A couple weeks later, do 120 minutes a week. And just keep adding in that cardio. And what I mean by conditioned is metabolically conditioned. So if you get lean and you're not conditioned, and this is for natural athletes because there's drugs to really speed up your metabolism too, but natural athletes. So you can be lean, but there's gonna look like there's something underneath your skin, or you won't have like that muscle hardness or big muscle bellies that look appealing. And a lot of that comes with conditioning. So I'm gonna explain that. Conditioning is metabolic conditioning. You're conditioning the metabolism to absorb more food for usable energy. So there's 3 ways that you can condition the metabolism. You can do the phosphogenic pathway, which is going to be heavy weight over a short period of time, kind of like a maxing out, like 3 reps with lower reps. So that's one way to condition the metabolism. Another way is time under tension. So you can take, that would be like 12 to 20 reps. The muscle is under tension for a long time. So say you're doing bench press, you want to keep the muscle under tension. So I'm not talking about doing a squat, standing up, letting your legs relax. Do a squat, come up, let your legs relax. I'm talking about keeping it under tension. So even if you do a squat and you're trying to do the glycolic pathway, you want to keep that under tension. So at the top, voluntarily squeeze those just to keep that tension on there, right? So you still want to get a contraction, keep the tension on. And then there's the oxidative pathway. With the oxidative pathway, it's about 40% of your output, or you could say an average over a certain, like 20 minutes, 40% of your output. So 40% of your output over a long period of time, which would be like what I'm doing now, steady state cardio, right? So heart rate is up, elevated, but I can still talk. So you try and get about 40% of your power output for a long period of time. Now, with this, you're speeding up those different metabolic pathways. So you could even think of it as different absorption methods, right? So when you're speeding up your different metabolic pathways, you're able to absorb different types of food to create usable energy. If you don't speed one of those up, that one type of food might not get absorbed and used as that usable energy. So, the active cells won't be as active, they won't be as filled out, what have you, right? So, for example, the glycolic pathway, that's probably the most, for weightlifting, that's probably the most common one, time under tension. So, if you're not speeding up that glycolic pathway, you might not be absorbing as much glycogen as you could. And if you've done a competition or seen somebody that has done a competition, just one of the ways you can fill out is filling those active cells with glycogen. And so if you don't have a fast glycolic metabolic pathway, when you eat that, it's not going to absorb into usable energy, if that makes sense. I'm trying to make it make sense here. So, these are just tips. And so, yes, you can lean out without doing steady state cardio, or you can lean out without doing HIIT cardio, or you can lean out without doing cardio at all and just dieting. But what I'm trying to say here is that you need every part of the puzzle to gain that good physique that you would have in the end. So, if you're taking one part out, you can achieve a goal of losing weight or leaning out. But you want all of those parts in there to be able to achieve a good looking physique. Or say you're trying to make muscle gains, if you're not metabolizing as much food, usable energy, as you can, then you're not going to make the gains. So say taking cardio out when you're trying to gain muscle. I hear that all the time. Okay, so let's let the metabolism slow down so then we can gain muscle. It doesn't make sense because you would want to metabolize as much food as you possibly could, which doesn't mean just shove as much food in as you can because you're letting your metabolism slow down. So you're not going to be metabolizing all that. So even if you're gaining, you still want to keep that metabolic pathway up there. If some of this doesn't make sense, just personal message me and I'll help you out, send you some articles. There's tons of resources, we have the internet. So that's just a kind of a short little blip, what's going on, nice little tip explained. I'll see you in the next clip. I'm doing a lot of time under tension. I already did my cardio. I just did steady state cardio, so I'm not doing very many supersets or anything. I'm just focusing on time under tension and motor pattern movements. So for this push day, starting off with a flat dumbbell press, I'm focusing on moving slow. And then on this, my chest is pretty high, and I'm stretching out the pec minor. And then at the top, I'm focusing on pushing forward and squeezing the pec minor. I am keeping my shoulder blades retracted, but if you want to, you can look at that pec minor just on anatomy, Google anatomy, pec minor, and you'll see it. It's going to give your chest that big old burly look, so definitely look at that. You could do dips for it too. And then I moved into an incline press, so I'm working from the bottom up. Went on an incline press, chest high, and I'm just focusing, so I'd go a little higher and then I arch my back to where I want the tension on my chest. And then I'm just feeling out where it is, where I'm, lagging, and then pressing. On these, I actually keep my shoulder blades retracted for the most part, but as I go up, I do protract them just a little bit, and I feel a better contraction on my upper chest with that. So I'm not squeezing my shoulder blades together hardcore all the way through this movement, but for the most part, I'm keeping them together, just letting them come apart at the top just a little bit, and that's just because I feel a little bit better contraction in the chest with that. And then I moved into an overhead press, just a barbell overhead press. And so with each one of these, with this overhead press, I'm making sure that I'm not lifting my rib cage way up into the air and hyperextending at my lower back. I don't want to do that. I want to keep my core tight, keep my rib cage down just a little bit, and keep my hips tucked underneath me as much as I can. All right. So with these, I did 5 sets with each one of them, 8 to 12 reps, time under tension. And then with this overhead press, I did 8 reps on pretty much every set because, as you'll see, it was pretty much my 8 rep max. So this week's split will be push, pull, legs, arms, and shoulders. So arms and shoulders will be kind of like a rest day because it's a smaller muscle group. All right, so another really tasty snack that you can have that's really macro friendly is going to be protein cheesecake. So what I have here is Greek yogurt. I think I've shared this before, but anyway, plain Greek yogurt, just plain, so there's very low carbs. And then you have a sugar-free, fat-free Jell-O pudding mix, so this is cheesecake flavored. And so that makes this here, and it's thick, like cheesecake, it's really thick. And then you can do like different kinds of crusts out of nuts or graham crackers. Since Heather here is allergic to nuts, we usually don't use them very much, so we use graham crackers for a crust sometimes. If I don't have enough carbs to really make it, then I won't do a crust. So this is something I actually crumble over the top for me because it's just dependent on if I have enough carbs left, if I can have the graham crackers or not. So this is really high protein, pretty low carbs, really low fat. Definitely try it out if you're tracking macros. One of the best things ever. You can literally eat the whole cheesecake and still be right on track. So, Keith German, Heather, and Emmett helping you stay fit.